Good morning, everyone. We're coming to you live from the Australia Conference Center. This is our Fall 2025 Day of Engagement Expo session. So this morning, we're going to walk you around the room and we're going to take a moment to visit with each of the tables and what they have presented here and what information they'd like to share. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will make sure to get the questions to those who are speaking on whatever topic they're sharing about. So let's get started here. We're here with the Fiscal team, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves and then we'll talk about what they have to share.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brandon Talley. I'm the Director of Fiscal Services. We're here today pretty much to answer any questions that you have. Anything that has to do with travel, requisitions, POs, invoices, purchasing anything, come to us. So I'll let my team introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Janae Runyon, Fiscal Analyst for Fiscal.
I'm Roxana Ortiz. I'm also a Fiscal Analyst.
Hi, I'm Michelle Solano. I'm a Property Materials Technician, aka Receiving.
All right, so we've got the Fiscal team here. So if you're online and you have questions for the Fiscal team, this would be a great time to ask some questions. But let me ask a question to the team. What do you find are some of the most common topics that people reach out to you for? Whoever wants to.
Requisitions, help creating them, purchase orders, where are they, contracts that we may have. Roxy?
I deal with travel mostly, so travel questions, issues with ProCard, that's also something that I oversee. And everything from the application process to the actual getting the card. Every day is different, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint one specific thing. So.
And then I help process invoices here at the college, so if there's any issues with that, I will get a hold of the requester. I also deliver the packages, and if you're missing one, you can contact me and I will find it.
I love that, Michelle. So you heard Michelle. If you're missing something, reach out to Michelle. So that's a great question. How do I get a hold of your team? Is there one place that I should email or should I reach out to you individually? What's the best way to communicate with you?
It would be to use our DL, EMCC Fiscal. And that's the best way to reach us all. And that way you're not sending it to a specific email address in case one of us is out. And we'll be able to answer your question for you. There's also the receiving one.
Yes, we have a DL EMC receiving for any receiving questions. If you have tracking numbers on packages, you want to know what's going on with your order, where it's at, and you can send that email and we'll be happy to help you with it.
Perfect. So they've got distribution lists, Fiscal and receiving. Reach out. I've worked with all these beautiful people here and they are definitely so helpful. If you could give one tidbit to people who are watching, what would you say to maybe make that process be as easy and as simple as possible? What could they do ahead of time?
Just ask us.
When in doubt, give Fiscal a shout.
Yes, when in doubt, give Fiscal a shout. If you have any questions, if you're not sure what the process is, just contact us. That's the easiest way.
Perfect. So you heard it. They're waiting for your email with help. Reach out. Jake, do we have any questions online? All right. Well, thank you so much to our Fiscal team. Thank you for being here and for sharing with us how we can get our purchases and our travel through as easy as possible. All right. We're going to move on here. All right. Here we are at our next table. I'm going to jump right in and let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they have to share.
Hello, I'm Todd. I'm with the Career and Transfer Center. So the Career and Transfer Center is kind of exactly in the name. We help people with career readiness and transferring to universities. Transferring to universities is also pretty simple. We mostly just connect students with transfer representatives from the different universities, but we also help students decide maybe if they're unsure about which university they want to transfer to. We can sort of walk them through some of the basic information about each university. And then when they're ready, we can help them with the application process, but mostly we connect them with the different reps from the different universities. But on the career readiness side of things, there's a lot more to it. So we do things like mock interviews, resume, and cover letter reviews. We do things like we help people with their LinkedIn. We help with them make business cards. We help them get headshots. We do headshots as well. So if you want to do any of these kinds of things, or if your students want to do any of these kinds of things, you can send them on over to us. We're in Kamakki 102, which is just right. We're right next to advising. And We have a lot of university swag, so if you're interested in grabbing some university swag, you can come to us. We have a lot, way too much. And yeah, so I'm going to hand it off to Arianna here.
Hi, my name is Arianna Guerra. I'm also part of the Career and Transfer Center. One of the things that we're trying to focus on today is if you can see these four, hopefully you guys see, if you can see these four like little handouts that we have, they're actually based off of each degree program here at Australia Mountain Community College. We're hoping to have more. We're still reaching out to faculty members and chairs and everything to go ahead and build more of them. So that's part of one thing that we're focusing on today. And on this board, hopefully you guys can't do it sadly, or maybe you guys can, is resume transferable skills. We just want to see on like what you guys as professors think that students are gaining from your class, because we have a lot of students coming in saying that they don't have any skills, when in reality they're gaining skills, basic skills from your class that they can transfer onto your resume. So we're hoping to get more. If you guys want to go ahead, reach out to us. Our email is career.services@Australia Mountain Community College. So you can reach out to us and we can hopefully help students build their resume to go ahead and go into the career that they're wanting to go into. But yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So you heard Career and Transfer Center. They're over in Kamatki, right next to the advisement. But I liked what you said about you're trying to build and work with faculty of what are the skills that students are learning in their classes or as they go through their program that are transferable, right? So I'm hearing a call out, faculty, anyone who's teaching a class, anyone who's a chair, program director, reach out to the Career and Transfer Center and let's figure out how to help our students build strong resumes that show what they're learning in the classroom that is absolutely transferable into the workplace. So maybe your class has a lot of team projects. That's transferable skills. So reach out, faculty. Are there any questions online before I ask questions? Are your services just for students, or if I was an employee who wanted help, could I come to you?
We help anyone. So community members, staff, students. Primarily we see students, but we get community members and even staff coming in all the time for stuff like that. Maybe they need help polishing up their resume because they're trying to apply, maybe promote to a higher position, or they're trying to apply to a different, whatever it is. We help whoever comes to us.
Perfect. So resources not just for students, but for the entire campus. Geez, I'm forgetting my questions this morning. I had a good one. How do students find out about where you are? So how do we communicate with our students how to get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, so we actually go ahead, we try to advertise and market as much as we can. Mostly we rely on faculty, advisement, everybody to go ahead and spread the word. We partner a lot with advisement actually. They go ahead, send students over to our office for career assessments, because now advisement's only into FOIs. So students need to have an idea of what they're interested into so they can go ahead and get their classes that they actually do need. So we have been actually having a lot of students coming. We also have one of the little check boxes on our sign-in sheet in the CTC on how did you hear about us. A lot of them are actually from the NSO or friends or faculty. So we're just wanting to go ahead and spread the word even more to make sure students come in and get the things that they need in order to pursue their careers. But yeah.
Well, thank you again for being here. Again, Todd and Arianna over in the Career and Transfer Center over in Kamatki next to advisement. And please help promote this service to our students through your classes, through Canvas, through announcements. I know they're ready to help students out. So thanks, you guys. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. All right, here we are at our next table, which right next to the Career and Transfer Center is the Center for Workforce and Experiential Learning. And I'm going to let this man introduce himself and tell us a little bit about what your office does.
Hello, chat. This is Eric Brown. I am in the Center for Workforce and Experiential Learning, and our office is basically in charge of things such as internships and field experience. We also have community ed within our office, too.
So, an internship. Can you tell me exactly what is an internship? And if I was a student, how would I go about getting into an internship?
Good question. So if you were a student, first of all, I would work with you in explaining exactly what an internship is. An internship is a great experience for students to partake in something that's going to help them get that experience, that firsthand experience that they might not be able to get no other way in the career field of their choice. Or even though sometimes I tell students, it might not even be in the career field of your choice, but it could be a good experience to have in general, to add to your resume, or to find out what you like and what you don't like. As far as finding an internship, you can search on your own, or you can use our office, which is a lot easier. You would sit with me, work with me on getting all the details and information that you would need to find an internship, the pros and cons of doing them and not. It's one of my biggest regrets from college is not doing an internship. The other is not doing a study abroad program. So internships are very important in your academic journey.
Right, so internships can get students some of that experience in a job, right, to put on their resume. We just talked about building resumes with skills, so this is actual work experience. Maybe what if I'm not sure, right? Like I know that there's some career exploration I can do. I know through my FYE, my first year experience class, but are there other things that maybe I could do through your office that would help me maybe go like, do I want to be an accountant or maybe I don't want to be an accountant? Are there other things they could do too to explore?
So you say other things they can do to explore. Oh yeah, so y'all could also have career interviews and job shadows. Those are valuable experiences as well. A job shadow would be you would sit down with somebody such as myself, for example, or let's say you're trying to become a lawyer or something. We could identify someone in the community that you can shadow for a few hours, maybe even possibly a full day of their work, and get an idea for what that job is like. Also, career interviews. Those are things that's something I always tell students all the time. If we can find somebody, even on LinkedIn, leveraging LinkedIn is going to be very valuable for something like that. But finding somebody in the field that you want to work in and just ask for a career interview. That would be a time to sit down with somebody for 10 to 30 minutes and just have some questions prepared to ask them to get an idea of what your next steps would need, or even your degree that you might need to get into that career field.
And where do we find you, Eric? If we're interested in coming by and if we're going to share with students or anyone where to locate you, where do we come to ask those questions?
So we are in Kamaki, 107, right by the tree. I always forget what we call that tree. But there's a tree on the wall. That's where we're on the outside wall of Kamaki. I don't know if it's east or west, but we're over by the Plaza Gallery, though. So please come by and check us out. Definitely faculty. We're looking to work with and partner with faculty on a lot of things that, as far as field experience and everything. Just we want to partner with everybody and see everybody in our office. We have been growing a lot within the last year that I've been here, so we're just looking to grow even more and do as much as we can for the students and with the students. So the email address that we would want you to use is going to be workforce@estrellamountain.edu. And then, of course, my email address is eric.brown@estrellamountain.edu.
Thank you so much, Eric. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, here we are at our next table, and I see a big computer commons. So I'm going to turn it over to these two ladies to introduce themselves and tell us about their services.
I'm Maya Gardecka. I'm one of the full-time lab techs at the Computer Commons.
I'm Gisselle Ortega-Morales. I'm another one of the computer lab techs at the Computer Commons. And we have a couple of services available to us. Most pressing, I'd say, are the workshops that we're having. Starting the second week of classes, we're going to have Canvas Basics workshops on Tuesday and Wednesday in person at 11:30 a.m. and at 4 p.m. and then an online version at 10 a.m. on Friday. The week after, we're going to have a Sink or Swim, which is going to be our Google Drive workshops, a Google Drive and OneDrive workshop that's going to be on Tuesday, and then the online version on Friday. The Tuesday one is going to be 11:30 and 4 p.m. and the online at 10 a.m. And then our last workshop, which I'll turn over to.
Our third workshop is the Be Smarter Than Your Smartphone. We're hoping to help students learn to come up with better passwords, learn why we use dual mobile, and just how to stay safe online using technology.
So for people who are online who aren't familiar with the Computer Commons, can you tell us a little bit about what do you do for students? So you've got these student technology workshops, but what else? Because you got students that just walk up to the desk, right? And they need help. So what is it that you're helping them with?
Well, as far as coming up to the desk, a lot of the time it's just, where is this classroom? But we also provide basic tech support to students. We're the first stop for students when they need help with anything tech related. We also work with IT to provide the student loaner laptop program. Basically, students check out a laptop through Estrella for the semester for free, as long as they're enrolled. We help with password resets and setting up and updating dual mobile, and we do tutoring for BPC, CIS, and CSC courses.
We also have a Canvas course where students can go on, and we have a lot of like how-tos and like guides for students, things like Wi-Fi help. We can also help with that in person, but if they're online or an online student, they can go onto the Canvas shell and look up a lot of different how to install Microsoft, instructions for how to apply or renew a laptop, things like that. Oh, and yeah.
So how does a student find out about your Canvas course? Are they automatically enrolled in it? Do they have to ask to be enrolled in it? How do they get in there?
We have a QR code in several places around the Computer Commons. It's also on our semester booklet. So anyone who wants to stop by and grab some.
So could I add that to my Canvas course, a link to your Canvas course? I could probably put a flyer or something in my class, right? Okay. Perfect. All right. So they've shared a lot of services that the Computer Commons does, a lot of tech support for our students. You heard password resets, Canvas basics, help me figure out where I'm going. They do oftentimes, they are that front desk when students walk into Estrella Hall, so they do provide a lot of directions and guidance that way. I'm going to ask that we can get this information out, so we'll share your workshops broadly so that people can add them into their Canvas class and help get students to your programs. Can faculty and staff attend those as well?
Of course.
Of course.
As well as the scheduled sessions, we're also providing them by appointment. So if you want to take one of our workshops, you can always come to us and have an appointment set up, and we'll give you one of the workshops.
Perfect. Wonderful. Do we have any questions online, Jake? All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to move on to our next station. All right. Here we are next at the STEM Center of Excellence. I'm going to turn it over to Sharon, who is our director, to tell you a little bit about what happens in the STEM Center.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So one of the things that what we're doing here at the Expo today is presenting to the entire campus the work that the STEM Center has kind of taken on with undergraduate research experiences. So behind me right now, you can see some of the posters that the students have presented at various conferences, and we have kind of like a variety here on display. So to my very left here, if you can span over here, this is a poster from a life sciences project analyzing the DNA from owl feathers. And this was also presented at a conference, at the Honest Conference in April. We have other disciplines here in terms of like psychology with Psi Beta students. We also have anthropology represented here on the wall. This was also presented at the Honest Conference in April. And then another set of posters from the psychology students and the research. And all of these are faculty-led research projects with the students. Some of them are within the discipline of the faculty member. And like, for example, like the owl feather and the archaeological site, these were done with outside agencies with the faculty member. So one of the things that we'd like as the STEM Center to invite new faculty and new participation, but also like address the issues like how do I start a research program? How do I start a research agenda? And one of the things that's been successful with the faculty that I have done research experiences is that they worked with outside agencies, so that way they don't feel like they have to come up with their own research type projects to do. So for example, like I've been working with Mayo Clinic for the past year and a half now, and the projects that come out with me have been in conjunction with working with medical physicists at Mayo Clinic. So that way this gives faculty an idea that they don't have to do these ideas in solitude. And moreover, this is like a good way to do some of the things that Esther is very proud of, which is try to find ways that are high impact practices for our students.
I know Sharon's got to run to her presentation that's coming up. So what I heard though, Sharon, is we want to get more faculty engaged in undergrad research. But if I don't know how to start a project, they can come to the STEM Center and get assistance. And it doesn't have to be super big to begin with, right? It can start really small and grow from there. So what advice would you give to a new faculty member who's maybe interested in this?
The advice that I would give is start the way I did, which is like consult with other people. So in particular now that Cory Buckband, who's a program analyst, and myself now have experience over this past year with how to work with undergraduate research, my advice to someone that's just starting new or hesitant is come talk to us, and we can do like a white paper. So that way during the fall semester we can like flesh out ideas. So that way if you are interested in working with students, come spring semester you can apply for funding for a project. But the thing that I do want to emphasize to anyone that's interested or curious or has questions is there's that uncertainty of, can I do this? Do I have the time? Do I have the bandwidth? There's all these questions. And the only way to kind of like address these questions is to have that same mentality as in research. You never know what's going to happen until you dive into the data. And I think if you go in with that growth mindset that everybody loves to promote to our students, to ourselves, this is the best way to start an undergraduate research agenda.
Perfect. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. We'll let you get off. We'll let you get off to your presentations. Thank you. All right, we're going to head way over to the other side of the conference center. All right, here we are at our next presenter, and I'm going to hand it off to Jill to tell us a little bit. Well, introduce yourself first of all. Tell us a little bit about who you're representing, what you're representing, and then what information are you wanting to share through your table?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jill Nico. I'm the Director of Disability Resources and Services and Testing here at Australia Mountain Community College. So glad to be here to share with you. So what I'm sharing today is mostly assistive technology that's free to most people with disabilities, and that sometimes you have to log in, but also you might need to be registered with our office as a student. But some technology is free for anybody that has a login or that in Maricopa. So today I have a lot of different types of technology at the table here, but the main thing I want people to do is there's a QR code, and I'm not sure how to get it to those that are online, but there's a QR code that takes you to a whole list of all the technology that is available, free for you or for your students. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to our office. So today I'm sharing about Kurzweil 3000. So that's a document reader. So anybody with a login to Maricopa can access it. So it highlights as it reads. You can change the voice. You can upload documents. You can upload textbooks into it. You can has study tools that you can make notes from. So it's a great resource. We've had it for a long time just for students with disabilities, but now it's available as single sign-on. So that is what I'm demonstrating here on the computer today. And then I also have some smart pens. So if you're a faculty member, you may have seen smart pen on the faculty notification letter. So I'm demonstrating a couple of those today as well. So these are connected to an app. And so as students write their notes, it records audio, but also connects it to what they're writing so that they can go and listen to it later on, fill in things that may have missed, lots of different models to choose from. And those are checked out to students who are registered with our office. And so in the table that you can get through the QR code, it talks about the different technologies, what they are, what they're used for, and how they can help with different students with different types of disabilities or challenges that they may have. So including students who are blind, low vision, maybe they have hearing, hard of hearing or speaking. They may just have challenges with organization and with focus. So each of the technologies is highlighted with how it helps with those different needs. And I also have a new technology. It's called Ubi Duo. So this is not you can't check it out to students, but staff can use it if a student comes in, they can't speak, or they may be deaf. And it's real-time typing back and forth, doesn't require internet connection. So did you want to try it out? So right now I have a staff message saying, welcome to Day of Engagement, or Day of Learning, sorry, it's supposed to be Day of Engagement. How can I help you? So she would just, type in, and then I'll see what you're saying on the other side. I'm going to put this down for a second. So she's typing, hi, my name is Paula, where is my class? And then I'm going to type back. What class is it? And she's seeing that as I'm typing. She's seeing that as I'm typing. So I can see as she's typing, I can even interrupt, okay, by typing as she's typing. So it's real time. It is in Mariposa, but I'm not sure where. It's hard. It's a smaller keyboard, so it's a little hard to get used to. What room? Okay. I am sure I can help you with that. And also my typing is not terrific. But so that is new. We also have a new high definition video monitor that zooms in up to 64 times, changes colors in 33 different ways. So that's a larger machine that you can use for print documents. So I'm just excited to share about all the tools that are available these days with technology. So thank you for letting me share.
Absolutely. Look at me trying to grab the microphone out of her hand. It's only because I have so many questions. So I heard a couple of things is, maybe a student is struggling in the class. First of all, we want to make sure that they connect with your office. If they need to get registered, they can do the process to get registered. And then you've got all of these tools. Can students check out these pens? Is that how that works? Is they check it out?
Yeah, that's correct. So if, for the pens particularly, some of the technology that I'm sharing, you don't need to come to DRS necessarily, like Microsoft has a way to dictate, right? So if you log into Microsoft, there's a tool for that. I'm just sharing information on how to get to it. So that's available to anybody. But pens, students would need to register with us. So if a student says to a faculty member that they have a disability or they have a physical or mental issue happening, you definitely want to let them know about disability services, and we can help them get the application done. It's an online confidential application. They can upload their documentation, completely confidential. And then we reach out to them to really get them started. But the main thing is to get them out to us. And then if they qualify for the pen, if they have focus challenges or other needs that the pen would meet, then they can check it out from us each semester.
Perfect.
That's a long answer to a short question.
All right, and she's got some QR codes that we will get copies of these and get them out so that this information is out to everyone. And I know there's a lot happening with Title II, and I know you're engaged in that. There's more to come on Title II, but Jill is definitely involved. So thank you so much, Jill. All right, we're going to move over here. All right, here we are at our next station, and I'm going to let these ladies introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they're demonstrating here.
Awesome. Thank you, Paula. My name is Bobbi Mohr. I'm residential math faculty. I have the beautiful Sarah Mina next to me and the gorgeous Sarah Lockhart to my left. We are all big Desmos fans. In fact, Sarah Lockhart and I said that if Desmos was a man, that we would be fighting over him because we both want to marry him. He's that good. Okay, see, now it's getting a little creepy. We could, anyway, all right, let's keep this PG. All right, here we go. go. So again, my name's Bobbi Mohr. Desmos is the theme today. You noticed perhaps on the description was Desmos, so much more than a calculator. So if you think and kind of reflect back to your own experiences, maybe with a handheld Casio or TI calculator, when we think of graphing calculators, we think about those dinosaur calculators. And my analogy always in this day and age is we're not using our flip phones anymore. So why are we going to use these handheld calculators? So Desmos is an excellent online interactive tool that really gives all learners, but especially visual learners, the opportunity to see what it is that we're learning, and that graphical representation just makes it really, really easy to understand what it is that we're trying to find in many different applications. I recently learned that the technology that is built into the Desmos calculator is just absolutely extraordinary, and there's this big popular art, 3D art through Desmos, and so that's in my setup today. I wanted to show an illustration of what that is all about. So that's what Miss Saramina is looking at. So you can do all sorts of different mathematical operations to create beautiful art within Desmos. So I'm not a graphic designer, but I'm going to assume that a lot of the technologies that graphic designers use are likely embedded in this same program. And then I also have been informed recently about the 3D calculator. We do so much, and I'll show you in a moment. We do so much in 2D, but there's a 3D calculator component to Desmos now too, and so that's what Miss Sarah Lockhart is looking at right now. If it's possible to go to her screen, again, it gives an excellent opportunity to see in 3D what we're so used to seeing in a 2D model. And Miss Saramina was explaining to me that especially with vector calculus, this is an excellent demonstration for students to really see and interact with whatever task we're being asked to complete. So the 3D calculator in Desmos is just absolutely outstanding. And I just want to get the word out there. We were talking with other faculty earlier today about just how this goes, across other disciplines, and just getting the word out and moving to a free, accessible online tool that really breaks down a lot of barriers for students. There's absolutely no reason in this day and age to go spend $100 on a calculator. We absolutely want Desmos. At least we're promoting Desmos as that resource. I really don't know why I'm talking. The camera really just needs to be on Sarah the whole time because. All right, and Miss Livingston, I don't know if you have to go onto the other tables, but if we have a little bit more time, I can kind of walk you through a demonstration of Desmos.
Maybe we can come back. Do you want to get to these other tables here as well? So I know I'm most familiar with Desmos being used in our math classes. So am I hearing that this could be used in other classes too? Okay, so now if I'm a student, how do I get to it? Does it have to be something that the professor allows, or can I just use it on my own, and where do I find it?
Sure, that's a great question. So again, accessibility is key with Desmos. The app, you can download the app onto your phone. You don't even necessarily have to have the app. You can open up just desmos.com, boom, and it pops up. So we all know that our students are always carrying our phones. So this whole I don't have a calculator thing totally goes out the window now, because all they need to do is just get it on the app or just desmos.com on their phone.
Perfect. Do we have any questions from anyone online, Jake? All right. Well, I know that these three beautiful ladies, gorgeous, all of the things, would love to give a demonstration. So if you're interested in a demo, reach out. A demo of Desmos. All right. Thanks, you guys. All right. Here we are at our next table, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to these lovely ladies to introduce themselves, tell you a little bit about what they have as their presentation.
Good morning. My name is Nikol Price, and I am the chair of the library.
And I'm Elisabeth Rodriguez, and I'm your collection development librarian. And today we are highlighting our Canopy database, which is a streaming film database. We've now added Canopy Base, which has added thousands of more films, including the Criterion collection. So what's really cool about Canopy is many of the films have public performance rights. So if you need a film for your club or some type of event, we can search on Canopy and filter it by public performance rights, and boom, there you go. You also have the ability to watch Canopy on your phone, and so today I was highlighting the QR code so you can download it and watch Canopy on your phone.
Yep, so and then there are a little over 1,000 new videos in Canopy?
Yes,
And they're constantly being added.
Yeah, so it's not like in the old days, Canopy, we had to buy them one at a time, so we only had them if somebody specifically requested them, but now this is an entire collection that we have access to.
So if I wanted to find out if there was a movie for my class, who would I reach out to? Is it to you, Elisabeth? And how should they get a hold of you?
So you can just email me, elisabeth.rodriguez@australiamountain.edu, Elisabeth with an S. And if I can't find it through Canopy, then we can also search Swank, which is our major film, what are they called?
More like feature films.
Feature films. We also have films on demand, or I can also just search for it by just any studio. So just let me know.
So lots of resources in the library to get those movies. They also have the cutest little bookmarks here, right? So if you want to come by and color a bookmark. So thank you both for being here. We will get the Canopy information out to everyone online. So thank you. All right, let's move on down. All right, here we are at our next presentation. I'm just going to hand the microphone off to Erica because she's got a lot to tell. So introduce yourself and tell us about your poster.
Sure. Hi, folks online. Thank you for coming to my poster. So I did my poster on my faculty development program that I applied to and participated in this summer. So we went to Mexico. So the poster setup, I kind of talk about my project and what I applied to do, then the actual experience, and then some of the takeaways that I learned. And I'm happy also to help anyone if you're interested in applying in the future to this. And I have the email of the international education lead in case you want to reach out to her. So Jen, Jaime, Rose were all super helpful in the application process as well. So I applied. You basically have to say how you're going to internationalize your curriculum based on your experience. So I applied to work with faculty at the University of Guanajuato, which is one of the places we went, and working with them to look at how bilingualism and multilingualism, basically being able to speak more than one language, benefits the brain, because I teach biopsychology, so I teach about what parts of the brain help with language, and also, as we have learned through research, bilingualism is really good for your brain. Fun fact, you are less likely to be affected strongly after something like a stroke if you're bilingual. You have all sorts of brain benefits to being bilingual. So I applied to incorporate more of that into my biopsychology class, and then also for the campus, sharing out my experiences like this. But also I'm part of the multilingual learners group, so how we can support multilingual learners at Estrella. I have a little survey in case folks, I don't know if maybe you could do a zoom in on it at some point, to hear from y'all about what might you need to know or what you would like to learn in order to support our bilingual, multilingual students more. So the experience itself was incredible. It's 1 week in Mexico City, 2 weeks in Guanajuato. So Mexico City is, you stay in a hotel, you are fully immersed, you do cultural sites, you do historic visits, you go to archaeological digs, just incredible learning for a week in Mexico City, and then 2 weeks in Guanajuato with a homestay. So I actually stayed with a host family in Guanajuato, and it was amazing. You do not have to be fluent in Spanish. They are very patient, kind host families that will work with you, whatever your level of Spanish is. I was almost fluent right after college because I minored in Spanish. And so it was really nice to get a lot of that back this summer. And during the stay, every morning you do Spanish class in the mornings. And then in the afternoons, you get guest lectures from faculty at University of Guanajuato. So you learn about the different projects that faculty are doing there. And then we do little weekend trips, evening activities. We went to the ballet. We did the ballet folklorico. We went to Frida and Diego's house that a lot of their art was in. We did a conference through the University of Guanajuato. And the University of Guanajuato itself is beautiful. So I have it in the picture here. It's a beautiful campus. Working with faculty, your Spanish instructors, you get really close with. Itza was my Spanish instructor. I adored her. So just an incredible experience. And what I learned, I mean, I sort of already shared a fair amount of it, but another thing that I haven't mentioned, it was so cool to connect with faculty from other campuses. So I got really close with my, she was my roommate. You get your own room and bathroom at your host family at the house. But she was my housemate, I'll say. Michelle is exercise physiology faculty at Mesa. So I would never have met her if not for this experience, right? Staying with the host families was incredible. I've talked about that. And I would just recommend for anyone here to take advantage when you get these emails about what's available to us as faculty. The application process was fairly involved, but absolutely worth it. And again, like I said, I'm happy to support folks if you want to hear more about my application. And I have a little fun. So I fell in love with Guanajuato 15 years ago when I went with he was my boyfriend at the time. He's now my husband. And I did another picture in the same exact spot that we took a picture 15 years ago. I am still with him. I know it looks like I'm not. But and what that really is to say is to just take advantage of the opportunities that come up. When I saw there was a trip to Guanajuato, I was like, I'm going. How do I get there? I think that's generally what I have. And again, the email for learning more is the IIE@dumil-maricopa.edu. And if you want to take my survey so I can learn more from y'all about what resources, what could help you support our multilingual students more, that'd be fabulous. Thank you.
Are there any questions online, Jake? Hey, you got some thumbs up. Do you know, Erica, is it always to the same location every year? Is it always here, or do they?
This particular project is always here. Yes, so they've done it several years. They have a really close connection with University of Guanajuato and the faculty and the staff there. So they have a pretty set. It's so nice because you get to do all of these amazing experiences and they've planned all of it for you. You just get to go along for the ride. Like, they've planned all the stuff you do in Mexico City. They've planned all the stuff you do in Guanajuato. They planned the weekend away at San Miguel de Allende. I didn't even mention that. And so you just get to go along for the ride. And it's the same every summer. So they've really nailed down, like, how to do it.
All right. Well, we will make sure that we get the information out if you're interested. But as Erica said, when these emails come out, don't ignore them. Take advantage of these opportunities. All right. We're going to move on to our last presentation. All right. We are here to our final presentation. Not the least, but the last one that we've got here today. I'm going to turn it over to these two to introduce themselves and tell us all about what your poster is telling us and what you want to share with Australia.
Shukran. Salam alaikum. Kefalik. Ismi Dr. Kristy Miller, a Scott Milne. We are offering a study abroad to Oman, the country of Oman. This is the first study abroad that Australia has offered so far. Oman is right here in the Middle East. It is known as the Switzerland of the Middle East because it's very laid back, very cool, and they actually speak mostly English there, so you don't have to know your Arabic. But the idea is that we are going to offer old world archaeology and environmental biology in this great place. They have everything you could ever want as far as environments, from the sea to the desert to mountains. And then the archaeology is very rich. I actually was an archaeologist as an undergraduate. I did study abroad in this country. And now I lead students from other universities here, and I've been doing this for like 10 years. And so now we have the opportunity to take students from Australia. The whole reason that we're doing the archaeology here is this little tree. It's called a frankincense tree. And this is frankincense. It's tree sap. And this is trade routes that went through, just like you've ever heard of the Silk Road. Well, there's frankincense trade routes. And so the trade routes are only way you could get this frankincense. It made it the most valuable stuff in the world at the time. So that's why we've picked this country. And we are going to take students in May of this coming year. And they're going to get to do a variety of different things. Scott?
So the hope is that these students will get to compare how the people in Oman live in the desert and how the people here in the American Southwest live in the desert. That's the environmental biology component of things. And while we're in Oman, the students will get to engage with some of the archaeological sites that Kristy has worked at. They'll get to dig through some of the artifacts and the bones and things that have been found in these sites and look at some of the unique landscapes of Oman. And along with that, we hope to maybe get the students in the water, maybe doing some snorkeling and things like that, and engaging with the different environments that Oman has. Hopefully, eventually, to compare that to how people over the past few centuries have adapted to living in the desert here and look at similarities and differences between how that's done in Oman. So we hope to get the students to some different wadis out in the desert. That's what's pictured down here, and some interesting environmental sites in Oman. This is a blowhole that's pictured in Gisselle, is how you pronounce that. Unfortunately, I don't speak Arabic like Kristy, but I will learn. And we'll have the students living in local apartments and really just engaging with the culture and the archaeological and environmental components of Oman. So it's a really unique opportunity. Not many people even know where Oman is, let alone what it's famous for. So hopefully the students get to learn a bit about the frankincense trade, about the environment, about the culture, a bit more about Arabic, and engage with this really peaceful country in the middle of what's often seen as not very peaceful. So yeah, it's a really cool opportunity for students, and the first one here at Australia.
And we will be sharing this with everybody in the next few coming weeks, and we will have flyers and marketing and social media and everything else to help promote it, with the idea that we can get at least 20 students to go with us next May.
So maybe they downplayed a little bit, but this is the first study abroad offered at Australia. Maybe forever, but at least in a very long while. So I just want to huge shout out to Kristy and to Scott, because there was a very rigorous application that had to be submitted and approvals had to go through. So a lot more information to come. And we heard earlier that Eric Brown had said he wished he had participated in study abroad. So really quickly, what do you think could be some of those takeaways from a student that, maybe I have questions, maybe I'm nervous to go, like, what would you say to a student who is considering this? What is the value that they're going to get out of this experience?
Well, one of the biggest benefits for anybody is traveling abroad. There is always a new opportunity, something new to learn, and you become more comfortable in your own world when you understand what other people do. And you understand that everybody in the world is just trying to go to school and fix a dinner and get their kids in college or whatever. It's true worldwide. And so seeing how somebody else does it gives you a new perspective and a new respect. It also is about, because of this, it's going to be some self-awareness, because you're going to be dumped in a place you've never been before. It's going to be about engagement, organization, because you're going to have to be in class just like you would, but you're going to have to be in class in a foreign country. People will be speaking different languages. In Oman, they speak about 7 different languages all the time. And so that is another eye-opening experience to understand how other people in the world live. Anthropologically speaking, that's what we want, right? Number one thing is, let's not be ethnocentric. Let's not be focused upon ourselves. Let's see how other people live. Environmentally, we all live in the desert. They live in the same desert, just on the other side of the world. And how do we do things versus how have they done things? What do they think about? And lastly, I would say about where it is in the Middle East. The reason Oman is known as the Switzerland of the Middle East is they do not follow Shia or Sunni Islam. They follow actually what is a cousin of Muhammad, and they're like the only place, there's only one other place in the world that follows this, so they're considered to be very neutral. Nobody cares what they do, nobody wants them, nobody's fighting over them, and so they're quite happy. They're very progressive. There are women in the government, there are women in the police force. You do not have to veil. I dress like this when we go, so it's very open, very welcoming. They're very hospitable, and it's going to be a really great time.
I can add maybe a little bit. I don't want to say the same thing that Kristy did, but I will say when I was in college, I did a study abroad to Belize, and it was not for as long as this, but it was one of the most eye-opening experiences I've had, I think, and Belize is nothing like what Oman will be for the students. So I would say, similar to what Kristy just said, the biggest, I think the biggest thing that the students will get out of this, beyond getting to see famous archaeological sites and UNESCO World Heritage sites, is just breaking some of the misconceptions of what the other world is like. I think often, especially in a place like the Middle East, people tend to think that it's dangerous and not very inviting, and Oman is the opposite. Actually, I had a chance to be there just for a day a couple summers ago, and it was one of the places I've been to that since then I've always wanted to go back to. So it's a beautiful place. It's not what you would expect about somewhere in the Middle East, and I think it's going to be an eye-opening experience for students to engage with a totally different culture, a very different language. It's not Spanish or French or Italian or whatever. So it's a completely different experience that the students will get to have, and I think seeing how people live in the desert there and then bringing that back to their local environment is going to be a very impactful experience for them as well. So yeah, that's what we hope.
Again, thank you both so much for being here and for putting this together as an opportunity for our students. Any questions online? Clapping and yay, yay. All right, everyone online, that wraps up the expo. Thank you for being here. Thank you to everyone who is here presenting. We'll see you next time.